I'm doing this again. I don't care. This is for Wolverines fans. So, this is for Wolverines. Let's go Blue!
Last year was a season to remember for Michigan.
The Wolverines have won a national championship.
Plus, my phone is at 100.
We begin a new era in
So,
Ann Arbor.
my phone will
game
record the full
providing the
game.
opportunity to
Plus, my
begin the
storage
journey
is at
towards repeating as national
47%.
champions.
So,
The Maize and Blue are a
this will
legendary
stop
program.
recording.
Greatness is expected from everyone who wears those iconic colors.
I tell you what, there is a resilience that is unmatched.
So this time I will have no interruptions unless I have to do
History of
something.
upholding that standard of excellence. When this next group steps into the big house, they will look to leave their mark.
The new era begins today.
It doesn't matter what time of year it is. This team will always be in the spotlight. The Michigan Spring Game starts right now on Fox.
Hail to the victors, they say. They also say, to the victor go the spoils. You pair them together and you get this morning in Ann Arbor, Michigan, the ring ceremony or rings ceremony for J.J. McCarthy and the 2023 national champions today outside of the big house. And the gates now swing open. It happens fast. To the 2024 season and the dawning of the Sherrone Moore era on this chilly, partly cloudy day in Michigan. And so we welcome you to the 2024 spring football game. They held a draft, the Maize team against the Blue team, and it really is the land of opportunity on the depth chart for the defending champs. Thanks for joining us. Jason Benetti, two-time Michigan All-American tight end Jake Butt. Downstairs, Joel Klatt, Charles Woodson, the Heisman winner, Jenny Taft. Team coverage today of a Michigan team that looks totally different in a lot of ways, Jake.
And it was a storybook ending to the national champions. You can't ask for a better ending. And yet this is the new era with Sherrone Moore. New head coach, a bunch of new coaches. It's been a roster overhaul. Of course, there'll be a new quarterback. And yet with all that change and newness, the structure, the DNA, the winning formula remains intact. Defense has been a big piece of that. They went out and got the godfather of that Baltimore Ravens scheme, Wink Martindale. They'll be one of the best units in college football. And though the offense does return some experience, only one returning starter. So along with those new pieces, along with the depth, the key thing to watch today is who's leading this quarterback battle. Who's the favorite to be the guy under center come fall?
Well, and a close-up view of that down on the field goes to Joel and Charles down there. Hi, guys.
Well, it's a day of hardware. As you can see right here, you brought out the big hardware right away, Charles.
National championships, you got to let everybody know. You got to let everybody know, and you bring the belt out, baby.
I love that. I love that. Well, listen, this is a team, as Jake was just talking about, that how do you achieve the goal that nothing changes and yet everybody is different? Because there's so many new faces around here. We got new faces on the coaching staff. We'll have a new play caller on the offensive side, Kirk Campbell. We'll have a new play caller on the defensive side, Wink Martindale. And the more important part of this is the quarterbacks, like the guys we're just talking about. I can't wait to see these guys because in a lot of ways, this is their audition, not only for their coaches, Charles, but for the fan base as well.
Absolutely. And you talk about trying to keep things the same philosophies. Well, you promote the quarterbacks coach, Kirk Campbell, who was around here, and then you get Wink Martindale, who we know McDonald and Mentor. Those guys study under him.
That's right.
So that's the way you keep things the same and keep that continuity so that the kids don't have to come into a season trying to learn everything all over again. And I think that we're going to see this quarterback battle. We're going to see guys who were in the system before, knowing what to do, and we'll see who makes the least amount of mistakes and takes that step towards being a starting quarterback.
Guys, the
Let's
first
just
two
ignore
that we'll
that
see,
sound.
Maize and Blue, will be Alex Orji
That's
and
what they
Davis
were right now.
Warren, so
Just
they'll get the
ignore that
first snaps here
sound.
today
I'm
in the
very
big house.
sorry.
I am convinced, Joel, that the reason Charles is wearing the belt is for the warmth. It is chilly
This
today
is going to be
at
no
the big
ad,
house,
so
and
let's
so
get-
much to detail. Jenny Taft with Sherrone Moore next. We'll watch position battles all day long from here in Ann Arbor. Back back here to Ann Arbor, and Sherrone Moore has grown up in this program as a coach. He now leads it, Jenny Taft.
Well, Sherrone, I'm honored, excited to be conducting this interview with you, the new head coach for Michigan. How does it feel? I know that's the obvious question, but it's spring ball. You're at the big house. How does it feel?
Phenomenal, blessing, humble, every expression, everything you can think of. I'm so excited for our team. Great celebration today of our national championship, and excited to watch our boys get to work today.
I know today is so much about celebrating what happened last year, an incredible season, but you also need to evaluate who steps up. You lost a lot of starters. How do you do that? What do you want to see from your guys?
Yeah, let them go out there, have fun, do them. We've had a great spring ball, been physical, been fast, so just excited to watch them have fun today in the big house.
You know, this place is special when it comes to culture, that Michigan way. How do you maintain that culture, but also bring your own style, your own philosophies to this team?
Yeah, continue to stay in alignment, continue to work hard and focus on the process. That's what we continue to do, and I look forward to doing that in the future.
All right, enjoy this one and plenty more of these to come.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jenny.
All right, Jason, back to you.
Jenny, thank you so much. And for Sherrone Moore, Jake, he's talked about smash football, the physicality that has elevated this program. That's going to stay.
Yeah, and again, with all the new pieces, there was a specific formula that allowed Michigan to win a ton of football games these past 3 years. Sherrone Moore had a big part of that to play in terms of the offensive side of the football. Now he does it for the entire team. Expect still a downhill, multifaceted defense. Expect elite offensive line play led by the running game. And then we'll keep our eyes on today, that quarterback battle.
January 20th is the goal, the national championship game. Here on April the 20th, Michigan spring football begins here on Fox, and the opening kickoff goes rolling into the end zone. So, Alex Orji, we've heard a lot about him as a quarterback, as a beast, as a guy who can run. What do you want to watch from him today, Jake?
Well, what we know already is that he's an elite athlete. We saw him in run packages last year. At one point, Jim had him as the third leading kick returner for the team, so he's a phenomenal athlete. What I want to see is the processing, the football IQ, his command of the offense. Is the ball out on time? Is he finding open receivers? And is he being smart with the football? And we're going to get a chance to see that right here as the blue team's in an empty formation.
How about this? Michigan's first offensive play is no running back, at least to start, and then they jinxed it, figure out who they are, and hand the ball off. It's Donovan Edwards getting the bulk of the carries this year, with Blake Corum getting his ring and heading to the draft. Donovan Edwards told us at the facility yesterday the whole thing he tried to do last year was stay even-keeled when he wasn't getting the chance as much as he wanted to. Now it's his show.
Yeah, and they're replacing a bunch of leaders on this team. Donovan Edwards has stepped up in that leadership role. Some of the challenges he had in the early part of the season, it showed a lot about his character and how he stayed the course and really delivered with an excellent national championship game. Now he's the leader of this team.
And some huge runs in that college football playoff championship. Bredesen couldn't make the catch. What are you watching, Joel, on Alex Orji here?
Well, for Alex, here's the thing. It's about process, yes, like Jake talked about, but it's also about operation. You know, in practice, you're just sitting at the same yard line and you're just having 4 or 5 plays, and then you go and you talk to your coaches, and you don't get the chance to really operate with the play clock, getting in and out of the huddle, operating all the motions and everything, and driving your team down the field. I want to see which quarterback can drive their team down the field.
I think that's what Kirk Campbell wants to see as well. Donovan Edwards certainly helps. That's a gain of 11. And by the way, running clock and 12-minute clocks in every quarter here.
Well, what you see already and why that process matters is, let's just talk about the team big picture. The defense is going to be one of the best units in college football. You see Donovan Edwards breaking off a few runs early on. So they're going to be able to control the clock and play great defense. But the processing for these quarterbacks is not pressing, not trying to win the battle right now, right today. It's avoiding those mistakes, moving the chains, and ultimately putting points on the board.
I'm glad you mentioned the defense. I think Charles is getting lonely down there, hearing 2 minutes of offense to start this game for Michigan. Alex Orji, incomplete. He wanted Tyler Morris, who's going to have to step up in that receiver room.
Here's what's interesting for me, fellas, and I'm with Coach here, down here right behind the offense. Coach, you're having to replace Blake Corum, who was an incredible leader. It's not that Donovan, wasn't a great running back, because he is, and he's going to be. But what do you need out of Donovan from a leadership perspective to replace what Blake gave you?
Really from a vocal standpoint, do what Blake did when it felt like it was necessary. he's starting to do that. He's been a great, tremendous leader in the spring, and just super excited for him and as he progresses as a leader.
And he also put on a little bit of weight. I would assume that short yardage. Blake was so good in the short yardage. What are you going to see from 7?
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited to watch him. He got to watch one of the best, I think, in college football at short yardage football. So, got to watch him. We're going to try to emulate him and surpass him.
But really, you just love those big guys up front getting off the ball. They're doing a nice job here early.
Yeah, it's good. We pride ourselves on being physical up front. That's how we're going to be building. That's what we're going to do.
Charles, this defense is going to have to get something going because right now they got to get off the field here on 3rd down, don't they?
Yeah, they do, but they got the guys up front that can get that done. Michigan, well, the blue team, they got Donovan Edwards back there, so that's the guy that they got to stop. They're not worried about the quarterback right now. He looks a little bit rushed right now with his throwing the football, but our defensive line, look at them. They'll stop you on 3rd down. That's what they do best.
That's TJ Guy. Nice play by TJ Guy. Look, the defensive line, Jake, had some guys leave, obviously, for the NFL draft, but there was a lot of depth there. A lot of guys have seen time.
Yeah, the same 4 guys that are expected to start: Josiah Stewart, Mason Graham, Kenneth Grant, Derek Moore. Those 4 guys, I love to point this out, that was the 4 on the field for the key 4th down stop in the Rose Bowl versus Alabama. So their starting unit, really the entire defense, will be one of the best in college football. The depth is the key. The difference between good, great, and elite teams is often depth.
Especially in a possible 17-game season. That one threaded through to Bredesen. What do you like, Joel?
That was a really good read. So right here from behind, it's just a little stick route by the fullback. And as soon as he turned, that ball was out, guys. So from behind the line of scrimmage, that was a really nice read and execution by Alex Orji.
Hey, Joe, that was a laser.
Yeah, it was. And that's the one thing. And Charles, you know what's interesting? From a quarterback, and you saw this on the opposite side, quarterbacks have to understand how to change their tempo. You can't always throw it hard. That one was a nice job understanding he had to throw it in there nice and hard, but that's what I'm looking for 10 here. Can he change the style of the way he throws at times?
It'll be interesting to see how much he tries to use that arm and trying to fit it into tight spaces, because the defense was all over that pass. Here's another good pass for him with the ball out to the flats. He's starting to move the chains a little bit.
That was beautiful.
It led Peyton O'Leary, too. Yep. Really good ball.
I was just going to say, on these past 2 plays, the ball placement is key. It's not always just about IDing the right guy. That pass to Max Bredesen, Max Reyes, the safety, was coming on his inside shoulder. Orji put the ball on his outside shoulder. There he has Peyton O'Leary in the flat. Put it on his upfield hip so he can catch it, turn, and run. Orji's kind of settling into the game a little shaky at first, but he's putting together a nice drive.
Kirk Campbell talked to you, Jake, yesterday about leadership and just the small things that he's going to evaluate this quarterback battle on. Look out, stiff arm, Donovan Edwards.
I thought I was going to the end zone with the belt. Joel, I thought I was going to the end zone with the belt, baby.
Okay, so right before we went on the air, Donovan Edwards comes over and he sees the belt. And Charles is like, you get in the end zone, I'm coming down with the belt. So that's what I'm watching for right here on this series.
And he thought he was going to be out of the game already. He didn't go get a chance to get in the end zone. But I'm coming with the belt.
Not too many guys catch Donovan Edwards. You know, once he gets out to that edge, usually it's good night.
There's that belt. Charles, that looks good on you. We see you right down there with the belt on.
Yeah, it does look good, man. When you're a champion, man, it transcends. So it don't care if it's 1997 or 2024. We champions. Let's go. Let's go. Oh, my way.
Donovan Edwards tackled by Hausman, the transfer from Nebraska.
Hausman's going to be important, guys. Remember, they're trying to replace both those linebackers from last year, including Junior Colson. They played a ton of games, so Hausman's going to be important. The Maryland transfer, Jayshawn Barham from Maryland, who's going to be on the blue team. Those guys are going to have to play a huge role this year. That was a nice tackle right there.
They're really excited about this linebacker room. They think Jayshawn Barham, wasted no time in this spring. They talk about him like he could be a first-round pick one day. Remember, he was a 5-star recruit in high school, one of the better players for Maryland's defense. And even though they lose Mike Barron, Junior Colson, this linebacker room's reloaded.
Orji rolling out. Alex Orji looking for the end zone. Get that man the belt, Charles.
Blue team, we got the belt, baby. Hey, hold up.
That's a strike.
Step it up. Step it up. Throw the ball. Hey, get the ball, baby. Get the ball, baby. Come on now. Let's go, blue team. Let's go, blue team.
Hey, life's not so bad when you're in the national champs, huh, Jay?
Hey,
Absolutely not. Look at Sherrone Moore smiling.
Charles, you got down there fast.
He did. He was in it.
Hey, if I'd have known any better, I'd say they did that for me, baby.
I love it. About 6 first downs on the opening Michigan drive of the quote-unquote season, right? Could there have been a more Michigan drive to start our game?
No, there couldn't. And really, this is exciting for this Michigan team and this staff. Great decision there by Alex Orji. It looks like he was in an RPO with the chance to throw the football. But this is what gets you so excited about Orji, is his ability to create and do things with his legs, threaten defenses.
Yeah, because from behind here, and I was standing with Coach, and from behind, they're trying to sneak Marlon Klein out into the flat. You guys probably saw that from up top, right? He got caught up in the wash, right? So all of a sudden, Alex Orji doesn't have his number 1 receiver. And guess what number 2 in the progression is? Run. It's his legs. That's what he gives you. And I tell you what, trying to bring that guy down on the outside, that would be very difficult to do.
He doesn't need a football to knock down bowling pins. He can do it with his body.
Sherrone was pretty happy with that series, in particular those 2 throws. They got the Bredesen on that little tight end stick route. They had O'Leary out in the flat. That was a beautiful pass. He was very pleased with the way Alex handled that after the first incompletion.
Well, Joe, you know, Sherrone wants to be balanced on that play, on that drive. 6 runs, 5 passes. So literally the definition of balance, 50-50 just about.
So 7-0 the blue team. Clock is moving down to 2 minutes. And what a story Davis Warren is. You know, he starts as a walk-on. He moves to the scout team. When he was in high school, he dealt with leukemia and everything that came along with that. And football has brought him so much joy. And now here he is involved in a starting quarterback battle at Michigan.
And very much involved. A phenomenal young man, clearly a leader, well respected by his teammates. In this quarterback battle, each guy brings something unique. And for Davis Warren, that character and that story has allowed him to win respect of his teammates. But for him, it's the pre-snap processing and IQ. He's got great knowledge of the offense and what defenses are trying to do to stop him.
So Mullins gets the first carry. Khalil Mullins. Jenny, you spent some time with Davis Warren yesterday.
Well, and it was all about perspective. That's the word he kept going back to, and it really made me realize just how lucky we are all for our health and to play the game that he loves. And you mentioned, Jason, that chemo that he went through in high school, and he credits football as the way he was able to get through it, the mindset he would be able to play again. And unfortunately, once he did get healthy, January 2020, the pandemic hit. So it has been a while for him, but he always believed in himself, always believed he could be the QB at Michigan. And what a moment, you know, he's involved with local hospitals here, helping young kids who are going through the same thing. I just was blown away by his mindset and really by his fight.
And the joy that he gets out of life. I mean, he was out playing 9 before he went to the facility yesterday. And so he said, look, I've been through all of that. I can handle basically anything at this point.
And that's Mott's Children's Hospital, and the football team, a lot of the athletic teams go up there and spend time with the kids. And Davis brought up a great point. You know, when J.J. McCarthy's in the room, of course the kids are going to get excited. But when Davis is in the room, he gets to roll up his sleeve and say, hey, I have the same scar as you guys, and it's a different type of hope.
Here he is on the field playing quarterback. Right down the middle. That's a laser and a strike for a first down and then some. Deacon Tonelli with the catch. 35 yards.
I love how he hung in the pocket there. There was a little pressure coming off his right side, and he just sat back a little bit, even backpedaled, and then delivered a strike right down the middle. That was beautiful.
Yeah, Joel, really understanding pre-snap, it was one high man, so you know you got the crossers, but he also felt the pressure and bought enough time so he could make that throw and move the chains.
End of the first, I got big news for you. We can't share it right now. We're going to share it after the break. Michigan football schedule news.
Ooh. You're going to want to stick around.
Hey, the
Reddit
threads are starting. The message boards are popping. What is the announcement? We'll find out together after this.
You're telling me this bouncer pass gets us into the creation
Houston, we have liftoff. Blake breaks a tackle to the 5-play court to the end zone. Touchdown. The Wolverines have won a national championship.
This Michigan team gave up 30 points in the first 5 weeks last season. The schedule really propelled them into some very tough games down the stretch. And then, Jake, it was a gauntlet to get to that championship.
Yeah, it was a big part of the conversation is how good is Michigan? Because they weren't tested really until that Penn State game late in the season. Of course, it didn't end up mattering. Went 15-0 and won the national title, but it was a slow start to last year.
Now, the Mays team was driving when we stepped aside. That schedule announcement coming in a short while here in the second quarter. And Kalel Mullings, after Donovan Edwards took the blue team down the field, got the opening carry, and then Dunlap with the carry there.
Hey, fellas, Zeke Berry is a guy that everyone mentioned right here. You're going to need somebody to step up for Mikey Sainristil. Zeke Berry is a guy we're hearing a lot of people talk about.
He's had a great spring. He stepped in playing a couple different roles, nickel. So super excited about Zeke. He's peaking at the right time.
Yeah, nice play there, guys, right on the outside.
What made Mikey special was his ability to be multiple. He could play in the slot. He could cover all across the field, but then he was a great blitzer, always around the ball. They think Zeke Berry can do all those same things.
Like Jair Hill on the other side as well on the Mays defense as this one gets out quickly to Colston Loveland, the returning starter at tight end for the offense.
Hey, Charles, how do you handle these tight ends, right? Like a Colston Loveland, because he's going to split out at number one sometimes. He can flex. Like as a corner, how do you deal with a guy that is that tall and athletic?
For a big guy like that, man, for myself, I like to get up on him because the big guys usually aren't that quick off of the line of scrimmage, so I want to be able to get hands on them. But the thing that you guard yourself against is that they're big, long guys, and they gain separation by pushing off.
By the way, two trick plays for everybody. I don't know if this counts. Here's Mullings again. Jake, what do you think of a corner talking about tight ends like that is my question to you.
Listen, as a tight end, Charles is the GOAT, okay? So, but as a tight end,
I'm not trying to stir stuff up here.
We always have to have confidence that we're going to win. And you brought up a great point, though, Charles, is knowing how to use your body and your length. And I think what makes Colston elite is his football IQ and his feel. He's one of those guys that's always open. He rarely drops a pass. He beats man coverage and settles in the zone. He's the best tight end in college football this year. I think he could be a future first-round pick.
This is when he excels here. When you get close to the red zone, this is when he becomes a problem.
See him there tight to the formation on the left side, looking that direction. There he is. It is Loveland right near the line to gain. So we talked about this.
That's why you got to get the DB up on these guys, man. You can't give free release and catch a little quick out on you for the first down or close to the first down.
Especially, Charles, when he's the guy that's back on this offense, right? Like he's seen the most football. You do have to make life difficult on him.
And think about not just what's back. All those guys that are just grayed out, they're all getting drafted, right? They're not just graduating. Those were all key contributors. Really lost 6 offensive linemen. Their top 2 receivers.
So as you watch the second half of this game, Joel, there are opportunities for guys to get playing time in week 8, week 9, week 10, when you need them, when injuries start to happen. So no gain, 4th and 1 coming up. That was Zeke Berry with the tackle coming up in the run game.
He's flying around. Again, Mikey Sainristil was that Swiss Army knife. Always seemed to be in the right place at the right time, and then he had the capability to make those plays.
He's quick. He's quick. You know what I mean? Like down here, he's like in the backfield.
Was such a playmaker for this team last year. Barry's going to have to do the same thing. Like what I'm seeing out of him right now.
He's reading the game well, too.
Yeah.
Mullings straight ahead, and he does have the first down.
Doesn't that make you smile? Big
Makes you
personnel.
smile,
It's like almost goal line football out there. 4th and 1. That's Michigan football right there. Kalel Mullings, the converted linebacker, big, strong back. He'll step into a bigger role this year.
You know what I want to see next year?
Yeah.
You know what I want to see? And Sherrone can hear me right now. You know what I want to see next year?
I want to see those big defensive tackles in here on short yardage. Can we see that?
We'll see.
Don't say that too close to Mason Graham. He's going to want to do it today.
We saw Kenneth Grant walk down the Penn State running back, right? So he's got the running back speed.
Kenneth Grant showed up at the facility yesterday wearing a Metallica sweatshirt. That is top flight, old school there, incomplete.
To be fair, we said, hey, what's your favorite song? He looked at us sheepishly, and then he was like, well, I think I've heard one of them. And I was like, oh, my gosh, that hurts my heart.
He said it's a look.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just want to point something out about that last play. Did you see who batted it down? That's number 8, Derek Moore, who's an edge. He's a defensive end.
Yep.
But what's unique about this Wink Martindale defense is you think it's downhill in pressure. And it is, but it's multifaceted in the sense that pressure can come from anywhere, and even your defensive linemen can drop, so they love to confuse opposing quarterbacks.
He described it almost in NBA terms, in matchup terms, and the idea is to do as much as possible with the personnel you have and show so many amoeba looks as there's a handoff to Mullings. We've talked about him as the OG. He said that means old grandpa.
Yes.
To us.
Well, it's this, we talked about it in the open. How do you retain the goal that nothing changes, and yet everybody's different? You know, and that's a challenge. Well, one thing that you do is that you keep everything the same for the players. Okay, so even though these guys, a lot of them weren't starters, they've been in this system. They know and trust this system, and they've seen it work, you know, to the tune of a national championship. And so now Wink Martindale comes in here, and to them, he's just an extension of Mike McDonald and Jesse Minter. So nothing's different for the players.
Loveland on the right side of the formation, go through the progressions and dump it off. Mullings spins out of a tackle. Charles.
Hey, that's what I like right there. Pursuit. Everybody to the football. That's what made us national championships last year. It's that team mentality. First guy gets there, gets on the tackle, doesn't make it, but here comes all 11 other guys to make the tackle, get him on the ground.
Whoa.
Hey, when I was in pursuit, I was saying ball. All I was doing is trying to get the ball out there every chance I got.
I know everybody tuned in for the field goal unit. Isn't that right? We see a rating spike. Spring football field goals. Adams Samaha on the kick. And it's worth 3. 7-3 Blue. Stakes on the line. Winner gets steaks. Losing team gets hot dogs. Blake Corum downstairs with Jenny Tao.
Well, this guy always has a smile on his face. And, Blake, I mean, you hear the fans celebrating you. What is it like to be back at the Big House, a place that was so special to you?
Oh my gosh, she won't stop making noises all the time. This is why she interrupts every single video when it's motherfucking
It's great. It feels really good. Seeing Team 145 go at it.
I don't care if I
Pretty good, so I'm
feel
expecting big things.
I know you and Donovan embraced, and I know how special that relationship is. Lightning and Lightning. What do you expect from him stepping up without you this season?
I expect him just to do what he does. You know, now he has really like the platform to just go and ball out, you know, and I expect really big things. He's been working really hard. He looks like he got a little bigger, put on a little weight, and I think we already saw, you know, he's running hard, breaking tackles. You know, I saw him, he had a little hezzy out there. I'm like, okay, Don. Before the game, I was like, hey, show me a little glimpse of what we see this year, and that's what he did that first drive. So I'm super excited to see him just go crazy.
I know this next week is a big one for you. So when you think back on your time at Michigan, how did this place prepare you for that next level?
I mean, Michigan prepares you in each and every way. Like, academically, we had the time management, right? And so that was one part. Hard work, we're going to do that, you know? And then so just on and off the field, Michigan just prepared each and every one of us for the next level, whether that be the NFL, whether that be, you know, going to a Fortune 500 company. It doesn't matter. We're ready. That's what University of Michigan does.
And I really loved this morning at the ceremony when you said to all these guys, hey, call me. I'm here to help. You know, what is your message for this team and the expectations, but how you want to live on that Michigan culture?
Yeah, my message to this team is just be brothers. You know, just like we did last year when, you know, people were trying to tear us apart, but we locked arms. We had a goal in mind and we finished the goal. So don't change anything. The culture is phenomenal. We love our brothers. So just
Can't
do that.
understand
Work
the
hard.
right now. We
Just
can
go
all
one day
do
at a time.
stupid ass.
Congratulations on everything you did here, Blake. I know that this is a group that loves you, so congrats and best of luck.
Nah, I appreciate it. Thank you.
You know, the one thing we didn't see here in Michigan is really how well he can throw the ball, too. This is the Tigers game just the other day, and this is a strike. Woo! That's a strike.
Right down the middle.
Even with a challenge system for the strike zone, that's a strike. And having a good time. Mikey Sainristil was there the other day as well. But what Blake Corum's talking about, the connectivity of this team speaks to leadership, Jake.
Yeah, and with analytics, we talk about analytics and stats, but one thing that can't be quantified is leadership. And, I mean, you can just see it. He radiates leadership, and that was a big piece of their winning formula going back these few years. Well, they're not just replacing talent and production, they're replacing leadership. That's going to be a key formula to their success going forward.
New quarterback is in, Jaden Davis, the highly thought of freshman out of Fort Mill, South Carolina, in the Charlotte area. So one series each for Orji and Warren.
Yeah, and guys, with Coach here, when you got a new freshman in here, first time in the big house, what do you want to see from Davis here on this series?
Stay poised, play calm, just play within himself. Don't try to make a play, just let the plays come to him.
Cool is it to be a freshman out here playing in the spring
Right?
game.
Exactly. Exactly.
See if this is his first throw, and it is. They get it out very quickly. It's Tyler Morris, little cut. Looked like the Alabama game there.
That's right.
We were.
Hey, Joe, when you got into a football game, is that what you like? A little quick pass out to the receiver? Just kind of get yourself in the rhythm?
100%. I would always ask the play caller, give me something that I have control over. You know, some sort of run pass check where I can get us in the correct play, I can see the numbers, and then I can throw the ball out there on an easy throw. And what I'd really love to do is use my cadence chart to try to see what the defense is doing, get a single safety look, and then throw on free access or something like that. Free access means, yeah, corner has deep responsibility.
You loved it too when the other quarterback came in for a play, didn't you? Because here's Orji back in the game, and they'll hand it off on the end around for Morris. And we have our first marker of the day. I didn't think we were going to have to introduce our officiating crew, but this is the lay of the land. Tyler Moore is really an interesting story we'll talk about after the call here.
The loudest
But a
scream
young
that
man
I
who's going to
ever
grow
do
into a
do
role
ref
with
talk.
Roman Wilson gone, Cornelius Johnson.
Stop saying it!
Jake, you ever get a holding penalty in a spring game?
The ref was always wrong. If that happened, it was always on the officials.
He
So
won't even stop saying
So we were
that.
talking to Tyler Morris yesterday in the cafeteria at the facility, and he said that touchdown in the Alabama game gave him so much confidence. He knew he could do it before. He knew what he was capable of. But in that moment, he felt like he grew with one catch, and it just made me think college sports is amazing, what it can do for confidence. And his roommates, you know, Will Johnson, Colston Loveland, kept playing that moment over and over for him. Charles, you love corners in the run game, don't you?
You know what? When I first got here to University of Michigan, Lloyd Carr told me, he said, if you can't tackle, you can't play. For that McBurrows to come up on the edge like that, running back looked like he was going to make it around the edge, and he comes up and stops it cold. That's what the coaches want to see out of the quarterback.
You know, and what's that defense, we can talk all we want about everything that defense did, and they did a lot of great things. One of the things that they were so good at, tackling, just something basic, tackling. They just did not give up many yards after contact, and that was one of the reasons why they were #1 in the country.
2-minute warning coming. They do get to the quarterback.
You got him.
TJ Guy again.
The Mays team is turning up. The Mays team is turning up.
Mays is going to take a timeout. They want that ball back. Remember now, we got traditional 2-minute warnings like we would have in the NFL, and that's going to be coming into college football here. So Kirk Campbell, who's the head coach of the Mays team, calls a timeout here with 2:09 so that he's going to get the 2-minute warning as well and get that ball back and try to go down and score.
I want to keep talking about tackling because that's not common across college football these days. Not everyone tackles in their spring game. Not everyone tackles throughout spring. But again, when we're talking about identity, and Sherrone Moore likes the word smash, that's a team-wide identity, and they embrace that. Wake Martindale said he didn't even need to have a conversation with these guys. They love football. They look forward to the physicality, knowing by doing it today, they'll build that callus that allows them to win games tomorrow.
Absolutely. We always used to talk about the expectation is for the position. So when you come in here, you understand that you have to tackle, you have to be physical. And like you said, Jake, you come here knowing, like, this is a spring game. Oh, no, we're hitting.
Yeah. And being around this team the last 3 years, and I'm sure you felt this, Charles, as well. Guys, it's not just that we called them tough. It's not just that we say, oh, they play a physical brand of football. They knew they were tougher than the opponent, and then here's the important part. The opponent knew that as well, and that whole mindset, that was just a huge key for them. And I think that manifests in the spring, in the offseason, in fall, when they're hitting every single day, when they're playing 9-on-7, they love it.
Joe, hey, I was on the sideline, Rose Bowl against Alabama, and it was very clear who the most physical team was, and it's just carried over right now. You saw with that last tackle to the spring game.
Well, Sherrone Moore put a stamp on that with the 32 straight runs in the Penn State game right at the end of last year in November, into the regular season or so. And so, yeah, I mean, that's part of the DNA for him as well. All right, third down in Farmington Hills. And they'll run it with Benjamin Hall, a big back, the sophomore out of the state of Georgia. Jaden Hood with the tackle.
You want the big man going sideline to sideline. You can't hurt us going sideline to sideline.
All right, 2-minute warning. Here is the schedule news that everybody's going crazy for after that exceptional tease at the end of the first quarter. Here we go. Second time in history, Texas and Michigan getting together, and big noon kickoff and big noon Saturday will be here. It's an early, massive matchup in college football. Texas and Michigan here in Ann Arbor. Joel, I know your eyes are going to the line of scrimmage in that game.
Yeah. Listen, there's a good chance that, and I don't want to say this too close to coach right now, but that Texas is going to have as good of an offensive line as anybody in the country. Maybe the best offensive line in the country. They're experienced. They do a lot of things well. Well, guess what? The defensive line for the Michigan Wolverines, I think that's the best defensive line in the country. You could see the premier line of scrimmage battle in that Texas-Michigan game. I cannot wait to get here for that game. That's going to be an absolute, I tell you what, those colors are iconic. Getting them here in the big house, I can't wait for that game. Coach, how about you? What do you think about that game? Texas, Michigan, we just announced we'll be here. Big noon Saturday. Gus and I and Jenny will be on the call. Big noon kickoff outside.
Excited.
Hey, man, you're a head coach now, and you're playing, and you're doing it well.
He's already months and months ahead of us.
Yes.
He's already calling the first play. He's already ready for the game.
How could you not be excited? I mean, two of the most historic programs in college football, two programs that are in that national title and playoff conversation already. And for Michigan fans, what more could you ask for? You don't have to wait until week 6, 7, 8 this year. You get to find out early in this season what this team is made of, what Sherrone Moore as a head coach and a leader is made of.
And Texas is going to start in the top 5, so they're going to figure out, exactly where they're at here with all these new faces, with all the change that is taking place. They're going to find out exactly where they're at.
Well, and Joel, they have an answer at quarterback already, right? Like Quinn Ewers has been in that room. He knows what he's doing. So it's an interesting contrast in week 2. So here's the tail of the tape. You hear us talking about iconic programs. It's 1,900 plus wins. Historically, 16 national championships, 60 Hall of Famers. Charles, your thoughts on Michigan versus Texas? How do they match up, Charles?
Dude,
what do you think?
What? This is what the people want. We always talked about Michigan's schedule last year. They said the schedule was soft, up until the end. Well, this is a chance for college football teams and college football fans to get what they want. They want the best going against the best, and so you got the Michigan Wolverines, who came off a national championship, Texas, who made it to the final grouping, going at it early in the season. This is what college football is all about.
Sure is. Charles just down there cutting promos for us.
Yeah,
That's
what
awesome.
I do. That's what I do.
So Jaden Davis is a quarterback. Now we have a 2-minute drill situation you get thrust into, Jake, and we get to see how he handles this spot.
That's the value of these spring games. You know, in practice, you get to call plays, but in the games, you get to have situations, and you get to put that on tape and go back to see the operation for your quarterbacks. Davis gets to lead this Mays offense.
Joel, you're down there behind him. What are you watching here?
Well, I want to see how quickly he can operate, right? But right there, I thought Mays made a mistake by substituting because that allows Blue to then substitute. You want to go a little bit quicker than that. But in the 2-minute drill, from a quarterback standpoint, here's what you got to understand. You really only want to have a 2-man progression. If you're sitting there and getting to a 3rd-man progression, you're in all likelihood close to being sacked. And you don't want to be in that position because that's going to kill a 2-minute drive as quick as anything. So for me, I was always looking at primary and then get to a check down as quickly as I can. And Charles, as you know, those check downs, especially with the clock stopping after a first down in college football, they add up. You can go right down the field.
Yeah, move the ball. And the thing for me is what I like about the play is on the other side of the ball, communication. Communication is key. You don't know what the offense is going to do. They're trying to sub in and out. But those guys on the other side of the ball, they were communicating and getting themselves lined up to be ready if the offense snaps the ball.
Sorry, fellas, we were right next to that whistle. We got it right in your ear.
No, that's great. Put your mic closer next time. Thanks.
Sure, Jason.
Appreciate it. Thank you. The handoff to Dunlap, so 3rd down coming up, and we'll see how both teams use their timeouts here. We were talking to Wink Martindale about this, and like, what's the goal of the spring game? He goes, I wanted to win the draft. So, like, there's a level of competition here that's probably beyond the average.
Well, we got the steaks and hot dogs, right? They're on the line, Coach, right? And I noticed yesterday in the facility, like, Blue and Mays, it was a vibe. Like, there was some trash talk going on.
Yeah, it's competitive. We're always competing in everything we do, whether it's this, whether it's classroom, whether it's community service, whatever we're going to do, we're going to compete at a high level. So,
people think just because you're on the same team that you don't want to smash the other team.
That's right.
You know?
That's right.
I remember being on this field, and Marcus Ray, who was the safety, anytime I got on offense, he was trying to take my head off. So anytime I lined up, I put my eyes right on Marcus Ray because I knew he was coming. So this thing it gets competitive.
Yeah, Charles, if the quarterbacks ever go live, those defensive linemen are like, yeah, I'm coming. Yeah. They want to hit their own quarterback so bad.
Don't do the quarterbacks like that. Not right now.
Yep. Jake, you were in one of these recently. How competitive is it?
It's competitive because it's almost more competitive because it's your buddies, you know?
I get that. Right down the middle, that's a first down.
That's exactly what I just said, guys. Did you see it? Charles, you see that? Primary, check down right away.
That's Ronnie Bell's brother there, Kendrick. So first down, clock moving. False start.
And that's what you want to avoid above all else, especially when you're driving.
I mean, you never give a false clap in a 2-minute drill. I mean, I would assume you never give a false clap.
No.
So that's on the center. He's got to snap that ball.
What do you mean by that for people at home, Joel?
Yeah, so the false clap means if I'm a quarterback, you've got to use your cadence or the clap to your advantage, right? So a false clap means that you're going to come up and give a clap. What you want is one defender to move because now you've unlocked the entire structure of the defense. You give the false clap, you unlock the structure, you can change the play. More importantly, you can change the protection, and then you can go ahead and get into your normal play and give the clap and snap the ball. But in a 2-minute drill, what you don't want is that false start, so you don't give the false cadence. You get up, clap, and go.
And the clock's ticking, right? So everybody knows it almost doesn't need to be said more than once. In that 2-minute drill, you want to snap the ball as quick as possible, whether it's a clap or a set hut. Time is of the essence.
Denigal quarterback, clock moving. A lot of checking going on before the play. Denigal feels the pressure, rolls, and he ends up out of bounds. Charles, I just love that you're living it down there. Like, you're like, oh, ah.
No, I'm watching because I'm looking at what the quarterback's looking at. Because you give these little tells. When you're coming, you get antsy. And the quarterback's sitting there going through his cadence, and you're like, dude, call the play so I can blitz, and so I can see the safety on the right side of the offense. He's itching to come, and Denegal pointed him out.
That's a hallmark, Jake, of this Wink Martindale defense. Blitzes from everywhere.
And it's a great test for these quarterbacks, too, is understanding where the pressure is coming from, what's just an illusion, what's real, and knowing where to go to the football is the final piece of that.
Yeah, they got there, and they do blow it dead. There's a marker in, too. It was Jimmy Rolder with the pressure.
Looked like Evan Link, number 71, might get called for holding here.
Tell you what, the officials are earning their keep in the 2-minute drill.
Hey, there's a lot on the line. High stakes.
Literally,
stakes are on the line.
I always look for
bragging rights for the locker room.
Well, that's right. So let's get a little more technical here, right? If you're trying to uncover blitzes,
10-yard penalty, it's still
structure, right? I keep talking about structure. Charles, if I'm a quarterback, I'm always looking for 2 over 1. Right? If I see 2 pass defenders, whether they're linebackers or safeties, over 1, I know someone's coming. Somebody is coming. So you've got to figure out the tell here. So now this is what Denegal's looking at. He does not have 2 over 1 here. He's got 2 high safeties. 31 comes down. This is not a pressure look. This is just a straight up rush.
Denegal, deep ball, wide open. Fred Moore. Charles, what do you got there?
Well, I felt like the defender pulled off of him a little bit, Joe. You think?
Yeah, I think so. I think there was a miscommunication over on the outside, and they let somebody get deep.
But I'm going to give Denegal the credit for picking up the look and getting the ball to the open receiver.
Well, take a look at this.
The rush in the face.
Look at this ball placement. They're running that out route in the corner underneath. And Denegal in between that zone coverage. Maybe it was Jimmy Rolder that was a little bit late getting out there. Did a great job of putting that ball with the right tempo and the right pace and dropping it in to Freddie Moore.
That's a guy we heard a lot about yesterday, right?
Yes.
Like, can Fred Moore help get some of that production out of the receiver room that they're losing?
Tyler Morris is their wide receiver 1 based on our conversations, but they're really excited about Freddie Moore as a guy that can take the top off the defense. He's in that conversation for one of the fastest on the team. Another guy to watch is Samaj Morgan, more of a screen and gadget guy last year. He needs to take that step.
Denegal drops the snap, and he is sacked. So it ends up on the ground. Zeke Berry was in there first. Gotta go, 9 seconds left.
At this point, you could close your eyes and just bet on Zeke Berry being around the football.
Right.
He's having a great start to this game.
He's a junior out of California, that great high school program, De La Salle, in Concord, California. As we do have the timeout, it looks like a field goal try is coming. Charles, is this as cold as your Purdue game in '95?
Oh, man, Purdue was cold, wet, snowy, sleet, hail. We had a little bit of everything in this game. This right now is like summertime.
Is it though?
Yeah.
Okay.
not for Joe though.
Feels like November, doesn't it? Like we're in the right place weather-wise for football season.
They love it here, though.
Samaha.
Oh, no, that's a big blue half right there.
It is.
Hey, I didn't have to call that field goal based on the reaction downstairs.
Kicker is a position battle. It is something to watch. They've been blessed with great special teams play, but that kicker position is something to watch, as you can see right there.
All right, 7-3 as expected. A lot of defense from Michigan. The Mays team trailing 7-3. We're expected to talk to Dusty May, the new basketball coach. Lots to tell you about at halftime here in Ann Arbor.
We'll be right back after the commercial break.
(7-3), the blue team with the lead. The defense has owned the day so far, and one of the former players on that defense, Mikey Sainristil, is downstairs with Jenny Tapp.
Jason, thank you. Well, Mike, I have to say, it's a little unique seeing you in street clothes at the big house here, cheering your guys on. You've been very involved today. What's it like being back and seeing this future of the defense at Michigan?
It feels good to be back, but one thing I feel is that, like, I'll never be gone, you know what I mean? I'm always be so involved with the program. This is my family here. It's, something that's a part of me forever, so I'm always be around, but it's definitely fun to be out here today seeing these guys compete. It's definitely different knowing that I've been here for so long, and I participate in all of these, spring games, spring practices, but it's good to see how well the team's doing with, Coach Moore being the new head coach and everything that they've had to go through since the season ended. And, I'm just super excited to see what the future holds for Team 145.
Well, you were obviously one of the key leaders of this group. Tell me about the young secondary. Who should we be watching for? Who do you expect to step up in your absence?
Well, we already know Will Johnson's Will Johnson. He's probably top 10 pick come, this time next year. For young guys, you definitely have DJ Waller and Jair Hill. Two young corners I think are going to do a lot this year. And then as far as my position between Jaden McBrose and Zeke Berry, two guys who have a skill set very similar to, what I had. My message to both of them is go be better than I was. I set the standard, go create a new standard. Go set new records for yourselves and, go create a legacy of your own, because that's what I wanted to leave. And, I truly believe both of those guys have the skill set, have the talent, have the mindset to do exactly that.
Well, thank you so much for joining me. Obviously, you left such a legacy here. We are wishing you all the best next week.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
No problem.
Jason?
It's going to be a wide draft class for Michigan. The NFL draft in Detroit coming up. You know what? 10 pins lined up. Might as well knock them down. Alex Orji, the only touchdown. Timber, 7-3. You won from last year in the locker room today. And earlier today, about 9 o'clock this morning, everybody from last season got their jewelry.
Many men turned into one body, one soul, one spirit, and eventually one national champion. You achieved something special, and the Michigan faithful will never forget you. Coach Jim Harbaugh, please, folks, say thank you to him. Let him know how you feel about it.
And it was an honor to represent this program as the offensive coordinator. Today I'm humbled and honored to lead this program as the head coach after taking over from my good friend, mentor, and big brother, Coach Jim Harbaugh.
I think as I look back on this, if we did one thing, we brought back family, we brought back tradition to the University of Michigan football program. Faith, family, football. There's no more spiritual place than right here in Schembechler Hall. Robbie Emery, every single guy here. You kept your priorities straight. Had faith in each other and the family.
And we're going to stop here today and enjoy this moment, because you guys deserve it. To the members of Team 145, let's remember this feeling. Let's stick with the process of being a champion every day and begin our pursuit to another championship. Congratulations, and thanks for a memorable season. Go Blue. Thank you.
Go Blue.
Our colleague Gus Johnson emceeing the ring ceremony. More to come from Ann Arbor.
Smile, you found it. The feeling of finding psoriasis can't filter out the real you. So go ahead.
Producer Bo Garrett, how casual should I dress? And Bo said, wear a belt. So he's a Heisman winner. He follows instructions. He did. 7-3 at halftime. Alex Orji has the only touchdown for Michigan. We've seen 4 quarterbacks here so far. Alex got that belt from Charles Woodson downstairs, and it's a 7-3 score at halftime. But Jason Benetti, Jake Butt, downstairs, Jenny Taft, Joel Klatt, Charles Woodson. Very fitting that the opening drive of Michigan football we see here on Fox is like an 8-minute drive.
Right. Control the clock, a balanced drive. I think 5 runs, 6 passes. And, Alex Orji was the guy to first get the chance and came out a little shaky. Missed his first 2 throws, but then settled in and then did what he did best, finishing that drive with the touchdown. And really what I like about Alex Orji was some of the pre-snap operations. There was a number of shifts, a number of motions. He was in full command and the true leader of this offense. You saw him hit Ben Bredesen there on a key 3rd down to keep the drive alive. As the drive went down, his ball placement improved, and then finished it with the icing on the cake, what he does best, running the football.
So that was the only touchdown so far. We've got a front row seat downstairs. Joel Klatt, Charles Woodson. What did you guys see in the first half?
For me, it was, and I know it doesn't pain me, but defense. I thought the defense was excellent, and we talked a lot about the tackling on the perimeter in particular. McBurrows with a nice play. Zeke Berry played well in that first half, but I thought that the secondary of each squad played well.
I think so too, and we know the strength of this team is going to be the defensive line. I got a chance to being at the Rose Bowl, being right there on that 4th down stop when they stopped Alabama. That's what this team is going to be about. That defensive line being able to move up and down the front and be able to, make the running back try to go outside, but then having the corners on the outside make the stop.
This half, guys, here's what's important about the second half of a spring game. It could feel like if you're a fan or watching at home, like, what's really going on? This is vital. Because last year, one of the things that they had, I would say, a great advantage with is depth. And you're finding your depth right now. Who can play? Who can be a backup that can come in and be relied upon? That starts right now in the second half.
Absolutely. Those guys got a chance to play last year. They got in, Michigan was blowing people out. You got guys that got some experience. So that little experience that they got last year goes a long way.
Yeah, you bet. That's all I'll be looking at, guys, this second half.
Well, especially, Joel, it's a good point. You think of the injury bug that can pop up at any time, right? So Rod Moore last month tears his ACL, and he was going to be a guy that was going to be a fixer in the back end of that secondary for Michigan. They don't have him anymore, and that can happen. I think about, Jake, what you dealt with here injury-wise as well. As I'm saying that, you know the feeling from both sides of it.
Absolutely, and I think with losing Rod Moore was so much more than just losing experience, depth, and talent. He was a leader in this locker room. Still is a leader in this locker room. Michigan fans will know the name Eric Mays. Charles will know the name Eric Mays. Part of that 97 team, was voted captain, got injured early in the season, but stuck around and was still a key part of their leadership culture. I think Rod Moore can embrace that type of role as he rehabs his ACL.
I hear Charles down. Everybody comes up to Charles Woodson here when he's down on the field. Charles, if you ran for mayor, how much of a blowout would it be?
Oh, it'd be a landslide.
You got my vote, Charles.
Yeah, no question about it, man. Landslide, man.
So good. Everybody's coming up to Charles during the course of the game. Okay, second half. Joel was just talking about it, Jake. How do you evaluate individual guys in a spot like this looking for playing time during the season?
Yeah, well, us football guys, we're kind of sickos. You evaluate it because every single rep, every detail, every step you take on this field will be evaluated. You will know if it was right or wrong. And depth is a huge piece of this Michigan football team. The difference between good teams and great teams and championship teams, it actually has to do with depth. That was one of Michigan's big strengths. Well, they're losing a ton of guys to the NFL, so that's what this second half is for. A guy I liked in the first half, TJ Guy, had a nice few pressures coming off the edge. It'll be Derek Moore and Josiah Stewart first off the bench. But that defensive line, as good as they are up front, we'll be watching the depth pieces here in the second half.
Javier Dunlap is the tailback. Denegal to throw, and that is batted in the air and eventually pulled in and intercepted by Kumba.
Did he catch that?
Emerick Kumba thinks he
unknown
did.
caller, so
It looked like it was batted at the line of scrimmage. Yeah, it was batted by Awuna. I believe, right?
It was, yeah. That was Iwuna,
Okay.
Ike Iwuna, and then Kumba, the native of France, gets a pick.
That one hit the ground, fellas. Okay, so when it was initially batted, it went straight down and hit the turf.
False alarm.
That's right. See, Charles, I got to take care of these QBs, right? We can't just have these. Yeah, that's right. See, Sherrone knows.
There's no replays in the spring game. There's no replays in the spring game.
On the Jumbotron.
Kumba's like, that's my pick, man.
We got stakes on the line. We got bragging rights on the line.
Hey, always hating on the defense, man. Always.
He sold it well, didn't he?
He did.
Good for him. So 3rd and 6 after all that. A lot of time. Now the pocket collapses, and this throw is intercepted. And now it comes loose. The ball came out after the interception by Waller, and it's eventually picked back up by Fred Moore. Let's
turn into an offensive player, man. You got to protect the ball.
Yeah, how do you have to do that, Charles? What do you got to do here?
You got to tuck it, man. You got to tuck it. You got to tuck the ball until you get into the free, and then you can put it in one hand.
Hey,
but until then, tuck the ball.
And give credit to Wilcox there. How about him hustling back? You know, Waller's trying to head back across the field, and Wilcox, I think that was 38, right?
It
Guys,
was,
He came in and punched that ball out. That's a heads-up play.
Wink's got a smile on his face like, well, we had it. Sorta.
Oh, that's exactly what you do after a quarterback throws an interception. You run a power play.
Well, Joel,
settle them down, right, Joe?
That's exactly right, man.
That's great for the defense, right? But Donegal's very much in this quarterback competition. And we've talked about the awareness and the understanding, decision-making. There you are, 3rd down. It's early in this half. You're backed up. You don't need to make that decision. You play quarterback. How hard is it as you're in a quarterback battle to say, hey, I want to prove myself, but to be willing to throw the ball away?
Anytime you're trying to do something outside of the system, you're going to get yourself in trouble, right? So if you're trying to prove something or you're trying to win a job on any given snap, that's not what you should be focused on. You really do have to be focused on just the details of the play, whatever it is. Now, that was a crossing route with 3 verticals on the outside. So what's your read? Is it zone, is it man? All right, if it's zone, read your movement key. Throw it out on time. If it's not there, throw the ball away. But if you get outside of those details, Charles, that's when you get in trouble as a player.
Yeah, I think so. And I think for him, with them getting the ball right back, he didn't have time to go on the sideline and really get down on himself. He got the ball back. It's time to just put it behind you and move on to the next play.
Joel, though, what if all 5 guys are playing within the system? Like, what if you're trying to separate yourself? How do you do it?
Play within the system. I'm telling you.
But everybody is.
I understand that, but the guy who operates the system best is going to be the quarterback. Plays will come. Here's the thing, Charles, maybe you agree or disagree. I think big plays will come to you. You can't go create those on your own. If I'm out there trying to make plays as a quarterback, I'm going to make mistakes. What I've got to do is operate the offense. Now, when something arrives, i.e. I've got a post route and it's quarters coverage, and now I'm alerted, and I'm like, okay, well, if the safety's down, now it's time for me to, quote, make a play by doing what? Throwing the ball on time to a spot to the post that's over that safety who's down. But if I go try to hunt for that, I'm going to make a mistake.
Yeah, just put yourself in a position to make the play. A lot of time, man, that ball is going to come right to you just the way you said. But when you get out of position, that's when the big plays happen against your defense.
Kuzdal trying to get outside, and he cannot. So the defense holds the line. DJ Waller came up from the defensive backfield to get the stop, and he has been very impressive so far.
He's flashed a few times today, and another guy that they're really excited about in that secondary. They said this guy looks like an ex-wide receiver. He's 6'3", 205 pounds, playing outside on the edge. Great length. You can see his long arms there, which allows him to get up in the grill of wide receivers. But, hey, the minimum standard is to cover and play good pass defense. The great DBs are willing and capable of coming up and tackling, as we've highlighted a few times today.
He did play 100 snaps last year. He got a little time. Charles, you're with Wink Martindale, your former guy, right?
Yeah, this is Wink. Man, me and Wink go way back, long time ago. Wink, tell me me something, man. It's been 20 years since you've been on the college sideline. What are you doing?
I mean, football's football, you know. Yeah. But I'm having so much fun with all these guys, and I'm telling you, this game's just as close to the league as anything the way it is today, you know.
So tell me how it's been, you know, being in the locker room and talking to these guys, and they play within this system, but now they're listening to you. Tell me how the feedback's been from the young guys.
It's been great. It's been great, and they have some good ideas too. You know, I'll roll with a good idea. So they have some ideas of what they've done before, and we'll go with that. But it's been a lot of fun all spring. Obviously, we're not going to show everything today. But we're having a lot of fun.
Just from today's scrimmage, the spring game, what have you seen from the team so far that you like?
I just love the effort, and these guys love to play football. I mean, that's the thing. It's been that way all spring. They love to practice. They don't flinch. They just ready to roll, and they know what they're chasing.
Man, like I said, my man, we go back 20 years with Rob Ryan. Good to see you here, man, in Amazing Blue. Love you, man. All right, Wink.
Another reason he's smiling, remember, Wink came from the NFL. They don't hit or tackle all spring OTAs. You only get 16 padded practices all season. He said he's had a smile on his face all spring getting to see physical padded practices and hits and tackles.
Yeah, the NFL, you don't hit anymore. I could have played 25 years, man, if I played today's NFL.
You played a long time. You had a very nice career for yourself.
I played 18. I could have played a lot longer.
I believe that. There's no doubt you could have played longer.
Hey, Joel, if I played quarterback, I probably would never stop playing.
You could play 30 years. They don't get touched. So that last play, guys, Nichols, 33. He's just a good-looking freshman. You know, he's just getting here, just figuring it out, learning college football. And when I'm watching a young guy, those guys that can learn how to play fast, right? They're normal speed, so they're not playing as thinking, and then they're just reacting and playing fast. That's what he's doing.
Guys, it's a 4th and 7.
It is after the great play by the freshman out of Frederick, Maryland. Pressure coming again on the roll down the sideline. Tough ball incomplete. Peyton O'Leary went up for it.
I was about to say, Wink thinking you got most, but he dropped it.
He almost did. Jair Hill got the coverage.
That was a great throw by the young freshman, though, Joe.
It was a great throw. Better coverage, though. Better coverage. I loved how
he dropped the
Davis
ball.
there, freshman, when he left
No,
the
that
pocket,
should
he
be
kept his
pass
eyes
interference.
downfield. You could tell right away he wanted to throw that ball. Now, part of that is 4th down, but another part of that is just trying to make a play.
Joel, take a look at this because he was looking out to his left. Look at 83 there on the hash, the tight end, Zach Marshall. He had him, and he pumped early. It looked like he wanted to get that ball out. Maybe Marshall's didn't get his eyes around, but a little bit of a missed opportunity maybe as Marshall was wide open, and a near catch by Peyton O'Leary.
You should see Jake lay in the talkback button when there's an open tight end that somebody misses.
Of course. Oh, that's not getting by me.
Why did he throw it to the tight end there?
They're always open, too. That's the thing.
Is that how he sounds, Joel?
I don't know, Jason.
Delighted to have you. First down for the Mays team. Here is Dunlap on the run. How about Wink Martindale, though? He starts out as a keyboard teacher in high school. Like intro to typing is what he starts as. Then he ends up a defensive coordinator in Macomb, Illinois, and Western Illinois. And then he's the father of this defensive style. How about that career?
Yeah, he told us, his dream was to be a high school teacher and just coach football, right? Yeah. And I think that says a lot about his character because he embraces the art of teaching. Of course, as you mentioned there, Jason, the Baltimore Ravens. Michigan owes a lot to that Baltimore Ravens team.
Coming from the Mays team.
What do we got, Joel?
We got a reverse coming up.
Okay. Ready? We'll be ready. Here we go. Here's the action. There it is. Fred Moore. Are you calling the plays down? Uh-oh. 15? Is that 15?
That might have been a little late.
I came over here on the Mays side. Look, they're asking for a flag right now.
Charles, is that 15 or not?
Hey, that might be 15, but that's the play right there where the defender told him earlier in the week, man, I'm coming to get you, trust me.
Fellas, I'm here with the new offensive coordinator, Kirk Campbell. And Kirk, first of all, how excited are you to take over this role as OC?
It's really cool experience. School like University of Michigan, be able to be the offensive coordinator, the foundation laid by Coach Moore. It's an honor. And I'm excited to to be part of that and keep the tradition rolling.
I've been talking about all day, how do you keep everything the same and yet everybody is different? Because that's kind of how it is in particular on offense. 10 new starters, new quarterback. How do you maintain the philosophy and the smash mouth football of what you guys were from an identity perspective?
Yeah, I think that's kind of easy. That's who Michigan football is, right? We're going to run the football. We're going to be physical at the line of scrimmage, dominate the line of scrimmage. But you got to complement it with your playmakers. We have Colston Loveland, Samaj Morgan, to name a few. Tyler Morris, really good football player. Donovan Edwards, Khalil Mullins. We got to get the ball in their hands. So the system is built that you can do it multiple ways, and we just got to make sure that's my job that they touch the football enough in a game plan and go out there and execute.
Now, you're also the quarterback coach, so you're going to be in the room with those guys. How have you felt like they've played here so far today, all these guys trying to stand out?
Obviously we had that one turnover play, and, we want to keep that off the board. But other than that, they made some plays, some big third down conversions. Davis Warren hit one early. Alex Orji with the touchdown run. Jaden Davis, the young buck, did a nice job on the scramble over there. I thought he gave his receiver a shot.
Although Jake Butt said the tight end was open. Shocking. Jake Butt says the tight end is open.
Hey, listen, as a quarterback coach, tight ends are always, in our offense, are typically always open, so I'm not going to disagree with Jake. I'm sure he was, but still nice to see the young guy keep the play alive and give this receiver a chance down the field.
Great. Thanks a lot for agreeing with Jake there.
Joel, real quick, they've called 9 straight runs since the interception. Is that with intent?
Oh, yeah, we've been tracking 9 straight runs after that interception. Should we be reading into that?
No, not at all.
Are you going to get to 32?
No, I don't think so. I assume that Coach Bell's going to probably get a pass off the sheet here. But it was working. We're moving the football, sustaining the drive here, just trying to keep the other offense off the field.
Appreciate your time, man.
Thank you.
Joel,
if anyone asks me why I believe in Kirk Campbell, that's why. Because you throw it to the tight ends. They're always open.
Yeah. It's awesome. It is an impressive room, though. We've talked about Loveland. Marlon Klein is getting a lot of love in that facility as well, the tight end out of Germany. And look, Joel, they dialed up a pass, and it almost went the other way.
He stopped running on the shallow. They weren't on the same page there, Kendrick Bell and Denegal.
How long does it take to get in sync receiver quarterback?
Well, there's rules and structure to the offense, but the key is being on the same page, and that's the challenge with the turnover on the roster and with the quarterback competition is you aren't able to build that chemistry as much as if you were already the starter. That time Kendrick Bell was trying to sit down in zone. I don't think he gave clear indicators to his quarterback in a near interception there to Denegal.
Watch. Got a delay issue here, yeah.
Delay right there. No, he put it away.
That's incomplete. I do want to ask you, Jake, when you say signals to the quarterback, indicators to the quarterback, what is that?
On a shallow, there's a simple rule, and we like to use rhymes. If you're looking, you're booking. Meaning, if you're looking and you have eye contact with the quarterback, he should expect you to stay on the move. Otherwise, you don't look at if it's zone and you're going to sit down. You look at the place you're going to sit down. Once you sit, then you give the quarterback eyes. You want those key indicators so it's a clear picture for your quarterback.
Yeah, if I see your numbers, I expect you to sit down. If I don't see your numbers, you better keep running.
Peyton O'Leary back to receive the punt. 22 seconds to go. A defense-filled third quarter. And Joel, we talked about it the last couple of days. This is a wide open, totally new coaching staff.
Yeah, it is. Although everybody's basically been promoted from within and or has history within that structure and that philosophy. So again, everything is different and nothing has changed. That's kind of the theme that I've been hitting on all day long. I think what's interesting, guys, if I was just to draw your attention to one of those hires, Tony Alford, running back coach, comes from Ohio State over here to Michigan. I think that rose a lot of eyebrows around the country when that happened a few weeks ago.
The other one that was not on the list because it's not part of the official positional coaching staff is Ben Herbert going to Los Angeles with Jim Harbaugh and Justin Tress taking over. And that fits your theme as well, Joel, because they were basically joined at the hip in terms of strength and conditioning.
You think about the change in Michigan football, you have to acknowledge Ben Herbert's role in that. Jim Harbaugh said he was the most important coach on his staff. The strength group developed this team.
Yeah,
3 quarters deep. We've had some great fun here in Ann Arbor. 7-3, the blue team with the lead. 12 minutes to go when we come back.
Fans are all set to watch the great American rivalry. Touchdown Wolverines! Michigan defeats Ohio State. Donovan Edwards, 85 yards. They defeat the Buckeyes for the first time in Columbus since 2000.
And there's the interception and seals a victory for Michigan for the 3rd straight win in this series.
It was Rod Moore who did it last for Michigan. 3 straight wins in the series. Maize and Blue together here for the spring football game. And Sherrone Moore in his first game against the folks from Columbus coming up later on this year.
The game is over.
First road game of the year for Michigan.
50 minutes, but
won't be until October. They stay home all the way through September. You saw Donovan Edwards with that big run in that series. Here is Henry Donahue. Edwards is out of the ball game after an early series, and he's with Kenny Town.
And let me be honest, Jason, it's been hard to grab Donovan Edwards. He has been coaching up his guys. Look, I know leadership has been such an important role for you this season. How impressed have you been with all these guys stepping up into their new roles?
I love it. And the thing with this culture is it's not a monarch system, it's a democracy. So, there's a lot of guys, like Chris Jenkins, Blake, Zach Keys, Mikey, Mike B, how they were all captains, and now there has to be a new emergence of captains. And there's no doubt in my mind that guys are going to step into the role that, they were maybe once saying that they're going to be able to look forward to. So, okay. My bad. Sorry, guys. But I'm really excited for the future of this program. I feel like the way that we prepare is going to continue to allow us to be successful, and it all starts with the coaching, but then it's really on the players. So there's no doubt in my mind that we will be successful in finding our leaders. Who's going to be able to stand out. So I'm really excited for this upcoming season.
You mentioned the coaching. Tell me about Tony Alford, new to this group, and I know you guys had a relationship before he got here. What has he been like? How has he kind of adjusted to the role?
Coach Alford, I'm not going to say anything on TV. I can get from jokes outside of this, right? But I love Coach Alford to death. When he came in here, the guys, all of us just respected him immediately, right? He's told us so many times, how much he loved us and how great it has been, embracing him and being open arms for him. And, he tells us all the time, how great of an opportunity that we have being here. But I just feel like he's elevating our game to a level that has, it's just going to make us continue to be better football players and as well better men. So I'm beyond grateful to have him here. I've always loved him in the recruiting process. He recruited me, going into coming out of my sophomore year. So it's amazing for him to be here because I always wanted him to coach me at some point in my football career.
What was it like, I gotta ask, opening those rings today and just seeing all of those rings there, really the accomplishments from last season?
Absolutely, it's definitely a testament to our hard work. But me personally, I haven't put my rings on since 2021 when we won our first Big Ten championship. My mindset is the next rings are the best rings. So these ones are great, they're in the past, but why not go achieve more? Why not go get more?
I love that. I know the fans will love that. Thank you so much, Donovan. And go back to coaching. I know you're busy. I've kept you for too long.
You have kept me a little too long. Appreciate you talking to me.
All right, talk to you soon. Get back there.
He might try to get back in the game. Alex Orji's back in the game for this series, but I will say, Henry Donahue a couple plays ago had a nasty blitz pickup.
That's a big piece of the running back room, and it's the standard here, too. I mean, Blake Corum was one of the best pass-protecting running backs in college football. Donovan can do some of those things. Of course, Khalil Bowling's a converted linebacker, but especially in the spring when you're playing that Wink Martindale scheme, and he's going to bring pressure from all over, that's where the running backs have to step up to give their quarterbacks time.
By the way, it is great to see, and thanks to Jenny for grabbing Donovan Edwards, it's great to see him happy and thriving, and a guy that's going to try to pick up the slack for what they lost, obviously, with Blake Corum, etc. Speaking of that team from last year, the quarterback is with Joel Klatt.
That's right, J.J. McCarthy, 27-1 as a starter here at Michigan. What does it mean to you to leave a legacy with a national championship undefeated season?
It means everything because that's what you set out for when you first step on campus, no matter where you're at. But, you know, that 27 wins, that's not me. That's everybody around and all the coaches, all the support staff. I came in at a great time and had a hell of a time doing it. Yes, sir.
Yeah, you guys, your performance in particular in the Rose Bowl late. Can you walk us through, if you're looking back, what was said on the sideline before that 2-minute series? You guys are down 7. You got to go down there and get a touchdown to tie the game up. What was said?
This is it, boys.
And
You know,
I call him
everything that we worked
SpongeBob
for to
now.
get to this point where we could show with the, you know, as an offense throughout the year, we had so many games where defense was killing it, Blake and Donna were killing it. And we didn't have that drive that was like, we're going to be a great offense this year. So that was just the message was, this is it. You know, backs against the wall, let's see what we can do.
How about putting on those rings today? The 4 rings that you guys got to put on.
Oh, yeah. It was just, you know, that jewelry is just different. Whenever it touches your hands, you see it out of the box. But it's time to get the real diamonds now. Yes, sir.
That's right. Good luck next weekend, man. All right, we're all looking forward to that. Yeah, you bet, guys.
Joel, how about this? And thanks to JJ for spending the time. We have both starting quarterbacks for these teams back in for a 15-minute fourth quarter. What do you make of that, Joel?
I love it. I mean, I always wanted to get out there and play. I love seeing these guys. You always want more reps.
There's a blitz coming from the corner again. Wink Martindale, blitz city.
Well, you pointed out Henry Donahue for the blue offense last drive, and this was the exact same blitz from the blue defense. This time, Tavier Dunlap was in at running back, and he got to it late, but you have to be very sure of yourself. And running back pass pro, they hit you quick. You got to get over there and stone the rusher.
You say stone the rusher?
A lot of stones there.
Yeah, a lot. Quite a few. Inset. Good to see Dave Abloff getting some FaceTime as well.
Hardest working man in the business.
Take care of your sports info, people. Second down for Davis Warren, who has worked from walk-on to scout team player. He'll hand it off for Dunlap, and a big gash, and Mays is moving it now. It's a gain of 16.
We talk about position battles. Well, it's Donovan Edwards and it's Khalil Mullings. That running back 3 spot is up for grabs. And for Coach Alford, he was asked about the position battle at RB3. And actually, Tavier Dunlap was the first name out of his mouth. A guy that's been in the program for a few years, has waited his turn, always hardworking. He's had a few spring games throughout his career. And now on this drive, he's broken off 2 really long runs, aside from the running back pass protection. Really good drive.
11 carries, 58 yards so far for Dunlap. Mays looking for its first touchdown. Davis Warren, the quarterback. Off play action, setting to throw. He'll launch a deep ball for the end zone. Right there, Kendrick Bell, touchdown.
Ronnie Bell's brother gets a score. Yeah, well, it starts with the protection up front. You're running the ball, you get into play action, and Davis Warren has a completely clean pocket. They told us to keep an eye out for number 12, Kendrick Bell. As you said, he's Ronnie Bell's younger brother. He's a sophomore right now, but they said as he matures and as he learns to play at this college level, he's a guy that can grow into a bigger role. Great protection. Davis Warren says, if you give me time, I'm going to deliver the ball, and Kendrick Bell finishes it with the touchdown.
Guys, he threw that a long way. Normally, you throw a go route, it's going to be thrown about 40, 42, maybe 45 yards in the air. I believe, based on where he let go of that ball, he was at the 50. He threw that ball 55 yards. That was a strong throw from Davis Warren.
And Joel, he put air under it too. It wasn't like he was pressing to throw a dart. He put enough air on it so Kendrick Bell could adjust to the ball and come down with it.
The key to the deep ball is timing. I know that doesn't. Everyone thinks it's just arm strength or touch or everything. It's not. It's actually timing. If you are late at ball, you take one extra hitch, you pat the ball one extra time, that ball is going to be short. You've got to get the ball out on time, and he did that. And then he gave it enough air for Bell to run underneath it. That was the best throw of the day so far.
Pre-snap, just take a look at how much grass and space there is. So Kendrick Bell is facing off coverage. There is about 10 yards of space for Joshua Nichols, the cornerback there, and yet you talk about receivers, you want to eat up that space, take big strides, get right up in the DB's grill, and then separate late. That's exactly what Kendrick Bell did right there.
Right, I mean, they're trying to decide on a quarterback here. You saw Davis Warren go right to Kendrick Bell and tell him whatever he told him, helmet to helmet there.
And this is what we talked about. The second half of the spring game is there's guys that are proven, and then there's guys that are competing for opportunities. Kendrick Bell is one of those guys. That's a pretty good sales pitch to say, Coach, I want some targets this fall.
Look, if you're going to go 15-0 and force your head coach to get a tattoo, you have to have somebody win this job, Jenny.
All right, so I got some hard-hitting journalism for you, Jason. Now, there was always a rumor that Coach Harbaugh was maybe going to get that tattoo, that 15-0 tattoo with the M. I can confirm today he has the tattoo. I actually just caught up with Roman Wilson and J.J. McCarthy, who were in the room. They said Coach Harbaugh was confident with the choice, where he wanted that tattoo, the size, and it was also Braden McGregor's tattoo artist, local guy who came in to give Coach Harbaugh that tattoo. And I keep telling everyone, I can't believe he actually did it. J.J. McCarthy said, Jenny, he's a man of his word.
Jake, what do you, as you watch Jim Harbaugh get a tattoo, what's the first thing on your mind?
It just puts a smile on my face because, yeah, that is the question. Like, is he really going to do it? But yes, he will. Jim Harbaugh is one of one. He doesn't speak softly. If he says he's going to do something, he's going to do it. I mean, the big smile. How about for Stephen Bateman, the tattoo? You get to tattoo Coach Harbaugh?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
That's good for business, is what they say.
Hey, can you believe Jim got a Harbaugh? All right, I'm sorry. Jim Harbaugh got a tattoo.
Yeah, he told us he was going to.
Man of his word.
He is the man of his word. So, yeah, I saw the pictures of it before the broadcast, and it looks good. He looks yoked, too.
He looks yoked?
Yeah, he looks yoked. He's been working out. I know he's in there with the Chargers, with Herb, so I know he's in there doing his thing in the weight room, too, so.
He's had plenty of time because he was living in an RV.
I mean, that's Coach, man. I mean, he loves his RV. It's the best, man. And it's a cool looking RV too, so looks comfortable.
Coach, who has stood out so far today for you guys? Just any group player, anybody?
I mean, everybody. Like what Zeke Berry did early in the game, made some big plays. I thought Donovan ran well. You know, Mason Kenneth made some plays. Ernest, Jay Sean. But it's cool to watch these young backs, young linemen go in there and compete. Great throw by Davis Warren to Kendrick Bell right there, younger brother of Ronnie Bell with the Niners. So it's been good. And Orange has done a great job too.
It's been a good day so far from field level, I can tell you that, guys.
Jake, what do you got here?
Yeah, look at this replay. Cole Sullivan, the freshman linebacker, they say he can hear football. Look at the left guard. Bang. Ooh. He's 215 pounds coming downhill. I believe that was Amir Herring, who is 300 pounds, and put him on his butt. That's a great physical play by the linebacker.
A freshman from Pittsburgh Central Catholic High School. It's Benjamin Hall, who really is a bowling ball. The celebration we saw at the beginning of the game befits him. He's 5'11", 234 out of North Cobb High School. I do want to know, Charles Woodson. Charles, you with us? Would Lloyd Carr have gotten that tattoo? I think Charles is hobnobbing.
He's politicking, right?
He's making friends.
He's making the push for mayor of Ann Arbor.
Yeah, he's over there. He's talking to JJ. I think he wants to talk to Will. And he's just, he's chatting it up. By the way, I don't know if even these guys know what a legacy they're going to leave. Like Charles was talking to us earlier about just like what it means to him and what it means to come back as a Michigan champion. He knows from '97, and now those guys enter that fray. It's a huge step.
Yeah, McBurrows was in there first. It looked like Sullivan got in there. That's Cole Sullivan with the play again.
A nice drive just in that linebacker position. And, that's the value of having big defensive linemen is there's no one to block Sullivan, so he gets in the backfield. He's first to the action. And then they get to celebrate there in the backfield.
Joel, you were saying, it's life-changing, right? To be a national champion.
Well,
Charles has said, listen, that lives on forever, and that's a legacy that will continue to live on forever. And you know, these guys, J.J. McCarthy, Blake Corum, all of these guys, they're always going to be able to come back here. Charles Woodson, you have a Super Bowl ring, you got a gold jacket, and yet you come back here and he's still Heisman Trophy winner, national champion at the University of Michigan.
Comes the Mays team one more time. They're going to run it. This is a run-heavy fourth quarter to prepare for those Big Ten games. An expanded Big Ten, by the way, right? You have Washington coming in, who Michigan beat in the title game. You have Oregon coming in, a top 5, top 10 program for next year as well. This is a deeper Big Ten and a more difficult gauntlet this year.
And that's, again, where the depth comes significantly into play. You know, last year they were able to rotate guys, get experience. Their starters were fresh late into the season, and as they made that push to the 15-0 national championship, you open with Texas, you open conference play with USC. It's an expanded playoff, so there's a lot more games, which puts an even further premium on depth and keeping guys healthy and fresh.
Penalty flag. False start penalty coming. It feels like we're a while away, but it's only 4 months away from the opener. They play a very proud program at Fresno State on August the 31st. Then Big Noon will be here September the 7th. Gus, Joel, Jenny will have the call. And then late in the year, that Oregon game, November the 2nd, that is going to be a mammoth.
Yeah, Oregon, Ohio State, 2 loaded rosters. Want to point out USC. Yes, Caleb Williams is gone, but they still have Miller Moss, and the defensive coordinator, D'Anton Lynn, comes from this same lineage. He helped UCLA have a phenomenal defense the past few seasons, so they'll be much improved.
On the roll, that throw is right on target on the run for Fred Moore. Into space he goes, down the sideline and in.
The Mays team that turns up.
Fellas, they got a good blitz pickup. Who's 41? Who's my guy 41 with a great... Who's it?
Kuzdal.
There we go. He picked up the blitz coming from the field side and allowed Davis Ward slide over. Now all of a sudden he finds a receiver and then Morris. And as soon as he caught the ball, Sherrone's back here and he's like, he's fast. He's fast. And sure enough, house call.
Turned on the wheels.
That's how you get labeled as a weapon, not just a wide receiver.
Yeah, take a dump off and go the distance. Exactly.
How you doing, man? Way to come up on that edge, man.
You know, you're a weapon when we say, we're going to put the ball in your hands and then you do the rest. And they told us, the first thing they told us about Frederick Moore is his speed. Think he might be the fastest guy on the team. You saw it there as he outran the entire blue defense. It'll be nice for whoever's quarterback for these guys. We've seen Tyler Morris grow. We talked about Colston Loveland. Saw Kendrick Bell score a touchdown, and that time Frederick Moore making his presence felt. Really fast guy.
Joel, you were talking about this before the game, right? Yes, it's important to evaluate everything that happens over the course of spring practice, but when somebody has a moment like that in live play, it's hard to look away and not maybe even overvalue that. Now Joel's talking to everybody. Charles was talking.
I'm sorry, Jason. I didn't catch that.
No, you're just talking to all of Charles's friends. I get it. I get what's happening down there. I was just saying, when somebody has a moment like that, man, you can't look away, right? Even if all of spring practice is one thing, but live game, that matters.
Yeah, well, that's 100%. And every young player that goes on to have success at some point has a splash play in practice or scrimmage, and that's where you earn the trust of your teammates. See, it's one thing to do it in front of the fans, but what you understand as a player is that the first thing you've got to do is impress your teammates. You've got to be reliable, you've got to be trustworthy, and then you've got to make plays, and in particular on the outside. And that's exactly what a day like today is all about.
So now Alex Orji back out. to play quarterback once again. So the quarterback ones for both teams are playing these final couple of drives. Zach Marshall makes the catch, and whoever the quarterback will be will see a different landscape in the Big Ten. So you add the 4 teams on the West Coast, all very storied programs, some great years last year. It's going to be hard for the middle of the Big Ten.
Absolutely. And another key mention is there's no more East and West.
That's
right. You have the protected rivalries. So Michigan, of course, will play Ohio State and Michigan State every single year. They got both Oregon and Washington. They got USC on the schedule. So there's never going to be a season, I really don't think a season like last year will be likely going forward where you feel you won't be tested until the back third of your schedule.
Yeah.
There's going to be a bunch of competition year in, year out now across the conference.
I couldn't agree more. I also think about the eclectic nature of the Pac-12 and what that was from a schematic standpoint, and how Michigan will line up against them. And, we'll see the philosophy and the mentality, which has worked so well here in the Big Ten, how that operates against some of these West Coast teams.
Joel, Marlon Klein just took a big hit there. He had the last 2 catches, and this is a guy, if you asked us, whose name did we hear most yesterday around the facility? By volume, it would be this young tight end from Germany.
Yeah, I mean, seriously, both coordinators mentioned him. A number of the teammates said this is a guy to watch. A 10-800 guy. They think he's in the top 3, 4, 5 fastest guys on this team. And he's pretty new to football. He was a soccer player growing up, so he's still learning the craft. Kirk Campbell said he believes Colston Loveland's the best tight end this year. He'll be first round. They said Marlon Klein can do the exact same thing.
Really high praise. That's a very tough throw into double coverage for Marshall.
So that was an example, just to change gears here for a second.
Yep.
We talked about the ability to change your pitch selection as a quarterback, right? That was one you can't throw a fastball. You have to layer that ball over the defender who's in a trail position and give a little bit of touch to your tight end there who's trying to go down the seam. Marshall's trying to get down the seam. That's what I think Alex Orji is going to have to learn is how to change his pitch selection and not always throw the fastball.
Joel, that's what JJ did to progress as a quarterback as well, year over year.
Orji rolling out. He wants the first down, and let's see where they spot him here. It's going to be 2 yards short. So, Jake, you know this very well. There's some very significant stuff at stake.
Literally. Steaks. And then the loser gets hot dogs and beans. We called it beans and weenies growing up.
You did?
Yeah.
Is that for one day, or is it like...
No, I think it's a team dinner setting, so that you kind of get that extra sting as everybody gets in their line to get their plate. The winning team gets a nice filet mignon, maybe a ribeye with some potatoes, and then the losing team, they got to go scoop with a little ladle some hot dogs and beans.
And then, as we all know, the offensive linemen, they go back for seconds and get pulled.
That's right.
There's a good touch pass.
That's what you're talking about, right?
That's exactly right. Charles, did you see that little touch?
I saw the little touch, man. We talked about it earlier in the first drive. Seemed a little jittery, but that little pass right there, got to get the ball to